I thought it was just a normal camping trip until I heard children laughing in the forest. My name is Lena. I'm 27. I don't go camping. I don't even like bugs. But Jason, my boyfriend, he loved the outdoors. And I loved him, so I said yes. It was a remote place, 2 hours from the nearest gas station. No cell service, just trees, a lake, and us. Jason said it would be romantic. Just you, me, and the stars, he smiled. We set up camp before dark. He did most of the work while I played music and took pictures. The air smelled like pine and damp soil. There was something soothing about it. I almost started to believe this would be good for us. We had dinner by the fire, talked about stupid things, laughed a lot. Jason was the kind of guy who could make you forget the world existed. But then, I heard it, a laugh, high-pitched, software like a little girl giggling. It came from somewhere behind the trees. I paused, my spoon halfway to my mouth. Jason raised an eyebrow. "What? Did you hear that?" I asked. "Hear what?" I listened. Nothing now. Sounded like a child laughing. He chuckled. "We're in the middle of nowhere, babe. If there's a kid out there, she's got bigger problems than us." I smiled too. His sarcasm always made things easier to swallow. Maybe I was imagining it. Maybe it was a bird. Or the wind. The night grew darker. We finished our wine and crawled into the tent. Jason was asleep within minutes. But I couldn't. I lay there, staring at the nylon ceiling, listening. I kept thinking about that laugh. I told myself it was nothing. Still, I felt heavy, like the darkness outside was pressing against the fabric of the tent. Eventually, I got up, quietly. I didn't want to wake Jason. I stepped outside, zipped the tent behind me, and got into the car parked just a few feet away. I reclined the seat, turned on the radio softly. Something mellow was playing. It felt safe, familiar. I stared out into the woods while the music played. Everything was quiet, normal. And then, from the trees, I heard it again, that laugh, faint, giggling, like it was playing with me. I turned off the radio, held my breath. It was coming closer. I stepped out of the car, heart pounding, and took a few cautious steps toward the edge of the woods. "Hello?" I whispered. No answer. A rustling sound, leaves shifting. Then I saw it, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. But it wasn't a person. It was a deer, just a deer. I let out a shaky laugh. Jesus Christ. I turned to head back. And that's when I saw them, 2 girls, standing silently just behind me. They were maybe 8 years old, wearing long white nightgowns, stained at the hem. Their hair was jet black, wet, hanging over their faces, and in their hands, gleaming silver knives. I froze. One of them tilted her head slowly, like a curious animal. The other took a step forward. My knees gave out. I hit the ground. They started moving toward me, fast. I scrambled up and ran straight for the tent, for Jason, for safety. But what I found instead was something I'll never forget. My hands were shaking as I unzipped the tent. "Jason," I whispered, crawling inside. But he didn't move. My eyes hadn't adjusted yet. It was too dark. I reached for the flashlight beside the sleeping bags and clicked it on. That's when I saw it. His face. His mouth was open. His eyes were open. But he wasn't breathing. The flashlight slipped from my grip and rolled, casting a flickering beam across the tent. Blood everywhere. It soaked into the fabric beneath him. His neck. There was so much blood. His chest had deep gashes, like something wild had torn through him. I let out a sound, not a scream, not a cry, just a broken gasp. I backed out of the tent, crawling, slipping in the dirt, shaking my head in disbelief. This had to be a dream, a sick, twisted nightmare. Then I saw them again, the 2 girls, farther this time, standing in the tree line, just watching, silent, still holding the knives. "Why?" I screamed at them. "What do you want?" No answer. They didn't move, not until I did. I turned and ran. Branches cut my arms, dirt filled my shoes, but I didn't care. I just ran. I didn't even know where I was going. The forest all looked the same. The trees blurred together. The night wrapped around me like a coffin. I stumbled. My foot caught on a root. I fell hard. My head hit something. Everything went blurry. I lay there, face in the leaves, blood dripping from my nose. And in that dizzy darkness, I heard it again. The laughter, closer, circling me. But I couldn't move. I felt like something inside me had been pulled out and left behind. And then, silence. I don't remember falling asleep or passing out. All I remember is the sound of birds the next morning, software gentle, morning bird song, and the crunch of boots on forest floor. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" I opened my eyes. Blurred shapes, flashlights, badges. "Stay with us. You're okay. You're safe now." Safe? Was I? I sat up slowly. Everything ached. My mouth was dry. My hands were dirty. My shirt was torn. And then I remembered. Jason. No, 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 no. I tried to get up, but a female officer knelt beside me. "Don't move too fast. We've secured the area. Help is on the way." "Jason, he's in the tent." She looked at me with a mixture of confusion and sorrow. I know. They walked me past the tent, covered now yellow tape. Officers standing around, whispering to each other. One of them looked at me like I was already guilty. They sat me down on a rock, gave me water. I was crying. I didn't even realize it. One officer asked gently, "Can you tell us what happened?" And I did. I told them about the forest, the girls, the knives, the way they stared at me. They wrote everything down, didn't say much, just exchanged looks. I asked them, "Did you see them, the girls?" No one answered, but I saw their faces. They didn't believe me. They took me to a nearby ranger station, a small cabin with a radio, 2 chairs, and the stale smell of old wood. One of the officers, Detective Harris, said someone would come talk to me soon. He offered me a blanket. I didn't want a blanket. I wanted to wake up, but this wasn't a dream. Jason was dead, and I had no idea what had happened. They left me alone for a while. I stared at the wall. My hands were trembling. They had blood under the fingernails, his blood. I wiped them on my jeans like it would erase the truth. The girls, where had they gone? Why hadn't the police seen them? I kept replaying it in my head, Jason's body, the blood, their cold eyes, and those knives. I kept asking myself, how did they kill him, and not me? I closed my eyes and tried to remember more. Something was missing. Something about that night felt broken, like a scene had been cut from a movie. Then the door opened. A woman in a gray suit walked in, holding a notepad. "Lena, right?" she said. Her voice was calm, cold. "I'm Detective Mira. Mind if I ask you a few questions?" I nodded. "Just to clarify, you say you and your boyfriend came out here yesterday afternoon?" "Yes." "And you heard children laughing?" "Yes, in the woods." "And later you saw them?" "Yes, 2 girls, white nightgowns, black hair, about 8 years old. They had knives." She scribbled something. "And then you found your boyfriend?" "In the tent. I choked, covering my face." She waited. When I calmed down, she asked, "Did you touch him?" I hesitated. "I don't know. I might have. I tried to wake him." She wrote again. "You're sure you didn't recognize the girls?" "What? No, I've never seen them before." "Could they have been real children?" Number no, I don't think so." "Why not?" I swallowed. "Because they didn't blink. They didn't move like kids. And the way they looked at me, it was like they weren't alive." She didn't react, just one more scribble on the page, then silence, until she asked, "Lena, did you know your boyfriend was stabbed 14 times? I froze. 14? I whispered. She nodded. It wasn't clean, it was frenzied. Something twisted in my stomach. Whoever did it, she continued, was very close, very angry. My voice broke. You think I did it? She didn't answer, just closed her notebook and walked out. I was alone again. But I didn't feel alone. I felt watched. The ranger station window faced the woods, and in that moment I could swear there was someone standing behind the trees, watching me. 2 small figures, white dresses. I blinked. They were gone. They moved me to a hospital room for observation, the kind with soft white sheets and no mirrors. They said it was protocol, said I was in shock, but they were watching me, even the nurses, especially the nurses. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Jason's face, frozen in pain, mouth open like he was still trying to scream. And the girls, always there, in the background, smiling, waiting. The next morning, Detective Mira returned. She looked tired, frustrated. She placed a folder on the side table and sat down across from me. Lena, she said, I need you to listen very carefully. I nodded slowly. She opened the folder, pulled out a single photo. It was of a knife, a large hunting knife, covered in blood. I'm sorry, she said, but this was found beside the body. In the tent, I stared at it. My chest tightened. We ran prints, she continued. And, I whispered. She didn't flinch. Your fingerprints were on the handle, only yours. I shook my head slowly. No, that's not possible. It's not just possible, Lena. It's fact. No, I repeated. You don't understand. I didn't touch it. I didn't even see a knife. Jason was already... She leaned forward. Lena, no one else was out there. You're wrong, I said, voice rising. You didn't see them. Who? The girls. She stared at me. There were no girls. I saw them, I screamed. The room fell silent. My breathing was sharp. My hands clutched the edge of the bed. I looked at her, pleading. Please, they weren't human. There was something wrong with them. Lena, she said softly, I believe something is wrong, but not with them. I was left alone again, but not really. I could feel it now. Something inside me, something new. A voice, small, cold, like wind blowing through teeth. He deserved it. I pressed my palms against my temples. No, shut up. Get out of my head. You called us. I didn't, but you did. And we came. My body trembled. Something shifted inside me. And then a memory came, like a flash of lightning through fog. Jason, screaming. My hand, holding the knife. I curled into myself. I felt like I was disappearing, melting from the inside. I remembered. Not everything, just enough. His voice yelling my name, the way I plunged the blade, again, and the laughter, not theirs, mine. When the officers returned, I didn't scream. I didn't plead. I didn't cry. I just looked up at Detective Mira and said calmly, It wasn't me. She tilted her head. Then who was it? I smiled. She lives inside me now. They think I'm insane. Maybe they're right, but insanity doesn't leave blood trails intense, doesn't leave eyes wide open in terror. I remember everything now. The laughter wasn't just outside, it was in my head. It echoed, it dug into me. And Jason, he screamed my name. He tried to grab my wrist, he begged, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't feel my own hands. It was like watching someone else move inside my body. I saw their faces, those little girls in white. They stood behind me while I stabbed him, not cheering, just observing, judging. Then they disappeared, and I stood over him, shaking. I dropped the knife, and I waited. I waited for the guilt to come, but it never did.
That's quite a story. His voice was rough, like gravel soaked in smoke. He leaned forward, placed a photo on the table. Jason. Blood-soaked. Eyes frozen. You want to hear what we know, Lena? He didn't wait for permission. You packed the bags. You picked the location. There were no other campsites booked for miles. He opened the folder wider. We found your fingerprints on the knife. Only yours. No other tracks. No other voices on the audio logs. No hair. No DNA. No goddamn ghost children. He tapped the table hard. You told my colleague the girls made you do it. That something took over. He leaned in close, voice low. You want the truth? Pause. The only thing we found in that forest was your boyfriend's body and your voice, calling his name as you stabbed him. He stood up. You're not haunted, Lena. You're guilty.
I didn't move. I just stared at the blood under my nails. I let his words hang in the air, and then I smiled, not out of joy, but relief. Finally, someone said it. I know, I whispered. I know I killed him. She's quiet now, the one in white, but I can still feel her, waiting, coiled beneath my ribs. One day she'll come back, and when she does, she won't be alone. Cut to black. Soft, echoing children's laughter plays, then fades to silence.